ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging on here. We are back with the Top Jobbers radio show.
We're back.
I am being joined here now by TKD. TKD, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, so thank you again for joining us, man. This is just our second interview here in our series of the Top Jobbers radio show. So thank you so much for joining us so early on. Hopefully it isn't too painful for you. How's things been up in Cleveland?
Good. Just, working hard.
Right.
Just trying to, pretty much show that I want to get on, like, those AIW shows and everything and then get my reps in, around different promotions, things like that, getting started.
So how long have you been, you've done Taekwondo first, right?
Yeah.
Take us like on a little a brief history lesson of how you got into the professional wrestling industry.
Okay. Well, pretty much so I was like most people, I was a fan of, like, the big product, WWE, for a very long time, and then I had a friend actually invite me to an independent show. And just immediately right away, I just realized it was just such a new thing, like a whole different product, essentially, and that's when I sat there and thought to myself, I'm like, you know what, like, I can definitely see myself doing, like, taking my love for wrestling to the next level,
right?
Kind of going, I guess you could say, like, around or over the barricade, from just watching to being a performer in the ring. So, yeah, I started researching and stuff, and came across schools, and, like, 'cause I live in Youngstown, Ohio, and came across schools in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and I decided, like, just let's do this, let's see what happens, and came across AIW, who at the time, like, I could realize they had, like, an old advertisement because, like, they still had Johnny Gargano on the front cover.
Oh, yeah.
Like their student or their school flyer. But, being familiar with it, like, you saw he, was down and doing things starting with NXT and stuff like that at the time. And I sent an email to whoever and went from there.
That's awesome. And so how long have you been kind of in the wrestling world, and how long have you been kind of training at AIW?
So I've been training with AIW since, let's see, I want to say it was March of 2017, so I trained for about a year until I actually made an in-ring debut. And then since I've been going on shows and everything, I've been doing that for about 7 months.
Okay. So that, for those people maybe who, that's like kind of a cool insight then for those who may not know what all goes into being a pro wrestler. So you had to train for over a year before you even get one match, and you're still training, right? You're still going back to school how many times a week?
I head up to our training center 2 to 3 times a week, depending. I definitely try to make it up there for sure, at least twice a week. But like time-wise, I don't know, just because I've only been through one school, or one training center. Like, I don't know really, like, timeline for some other places and stuff. But I know with me, once I was, like, pretty much finding my footing, it was a lot of, just kind of figuring out, like, what works for me and things like that, especially coming from, a Taekwondo background and transitioning it to, professional wrestling.
Right.
A lot of it can carry over, and I do a lot of things in the ring with what I've learned previously. So, yeah, it's just pretty much, like, time-wise now, like, I definitely, can go out there confident with what I can do from like the awesome training that I have and the great teaching. But kind of follow up on like the second part there. You know, there's never really a time when you stop learning, whether it is, you know, learning with my trainers weekly, Dominic Guarini, Derek Direction, Eric Ryan, a bunch of the other guys up there at the school. Or, you know, even at the shows, getting to talk to a lot of, you know, the vets that are performing and things like that. So it's just cool just to, like, kind of pick people's brains and kind of see, like, their insight.
Right.
Yeah, that was one thing you kind of touched on. A couple points I was going to bring up. The first being that you, why are we even here, TKD? You can just run the interview by yourself. So,
sorry, I'm a talker, especially like when I just kind of ramble.
Oh, good. You're lucky. This is kind of like a talk show, kind of. You know,
yeah.
Do some talking out here.
Are you kidding? We just spent 20 minutes on a Shield match, so I definitely feel you. So, one thing you mentioned is you're a black belt in Taekwondo, and obviously your name in the wrestling ring, Tommy Kyle Dean, correct? I'm getting all those right. Yeah, very Power Ranger-esque.
Like
initials TKD, even matching Taekwondo. So
right.
we see a lot of crossover. Obviously, MMA is big crossover. You mentioned Dom Guarini. He brings jiu-jitsu to the wrestling ring. We have, obviously, most common for powerlifters and football stars to kind of cross over to pro wrestling. But I think you're the first person I've seen that has a Taekwondo background. So kind of, can you like go into more detail on how that helps you? Maybe some things you had to kind of change to adapt to the wrestling ring. Kind of give us more insight on how that background has helped you.
Yeah, well, definitely when I first started, because I went into starting training, like kind of just very open-minded, kind of blank slating it, just pretty much coming in, listening to what they had to tell me, and things like that. And then kind of as we were going through, like it kind of just hit me one day. I was like, oh, hey, like, you know, this is similar to what I used to do, you know, like training, like doing like rolls or, you know, just, you know, basic strikes, things like that.
Right.
And I think it was because that was the thing too. I was just because I did like Taekwondo. I trained a lot through it, a lot through like middle school, high school. Took a little bit of a break, kind of like my college years, and then kind of went back to it once I started doing professional wrestling. And I was just always there because like I wasn't really sure like where, you know, like I guess you could say like the power level of like my strikes and things like that would be, because I do resort to a lot of that. I do kind of look, throw in some like moves here and there, you know, more grapples, but it's just kind of when all else fails, I'm just swinging a fist, a foot, something's go flying in the air.
Right. Good backup plan.
So, but yeah, like that was just always my thing, because I mean, even though obviously we're in a fight, you know, you want to win. I was just, there was like something in like the back of my mind. I was just concerned, like, well, I don't want to like, you know, really knock them out like terrible.
Right.
And you know, that was just something that, you know, like trainers like just reiterated with me, like, you know, like again, like you're in a fight.
Exactly.
Like right. You can't be afraid. Like you want to get that win. You want to, you know, pretty much get the guy down for like that 3 count, and if that is knocking their head off, like
yeah, you want to get the win, but you also, you know, you would like to wake up the next morning and go to the next town and wrestle more. So, you know, like you kind of mentioned, that 3 count, really, whatever gets you just those 3 seconds. And if your opponent can move on to the next town, you know, you'd like that, even if it's with an egg on his forehead and your name in his mind, right? So it's kind of finding that balance.
Right.
So another thing that you kind of pointed on, and we talked to Zach Thomas, who's also a student at AIW last week, and he also mentioned kind of picking people's brains. And so you mentioned Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, who are now both in NXT and the WWE now, and they trained guys like Dom Guarini, who's now training. So in wrestling, you kind of have that thing you hear a lot about, a learning tree. So and so learned from so and so, and it's kind of just, it's whoever you learn from, and you kind of pick up everything from each of your trainers. Who are kind of the people, you mentioned Eric Ryan, you mentioned Derek Direction, Dom, your trainers, who are kind of some of the other people that you pick up when you travel, or maybe who come to Cleveland that you like to pick the brains of?
Oh, yeah. Well, just want to, like, touch on it, too. Like, I mean, pretty much like you were saying, like, that learning tree, like, it's just so cool just to be a part of a school that has such, like, a lineage of, like, wrestlers that have come through and trained. Like, luckily, I've been around when Johnny and Candice, like, have stopped in and stuff. So just to even, like, learn, like, it was, like, some more basic things that we're learning. Actually, did, like, a lucha training day with Candice once. Like, it was so cool. Just because I never thought I'd be, like, flying around the ring like that. But, you know, outside of the school, at least, like, through who we have seen or who I've been able to met, Magnum CK, we had to face off, and just, it was amazing. Like, kind of through all that. See, who else have we gone through? Sat through, like, Dave Malenko came through. Did, like, his seminar with him. It was, like, just mind-blowing, just, like, the information.
That has to be just a gold pot of knowledge with Dave Malenko.
Oh, yeah, no, it was just, like, sitting there, and I was just like, oh, my God. Like, he would say things that you would think would be so easy, but you're just like, oh, my, like, that's brilliant. Like, that's right. I've never thought about that in the ring before. But, yeah, did, like, the Ultimo Dragon seminar that was recent as well. And, yeah, just pretty much just any guys that I've seen, like Lewis Linden, too. Gosh, I don't know, like, this is, like, it's like one of those things, just, like, kind of, like, try to think of all the names possible.
Yeah. Well, that's a thing that AIW is really good at. Oh, yeah, sorry. That's something that AIW is really good at, is every show they tend to bring in, like, one or more mainstream stars. And usually when they do that, those stars do seminars. So you've had guys like Glacier, Arn Anderson. You know, you mentioned Ultimo Dragon was at the last show, Dean Malenko. So a lot of those guys come through, but you also have people who are still current veterans of the independent circuit, like a Colt Cabana, you know. So people who have been all over the world, and it has to be cool, at least having the opportunity. I can't really think of any other independent wrestling company, or maybe even at least in Ohio, that does that brings in kind of the bigger names and gives students a central location to come and pick up more knowledge.
Oh, yeah, it's just an amazing opportunity, and it's something I just feel so fortunate for. Because, you know, you have John Thorne, who runs AIW, and he just pretty much, he gives us the tools there. It's obviously up to the individual to take advantage of that. And, you know, I've definitely tried to along the way, whether it's those seminars or just talking to people in the locker room, or whatever it is, just for pretty much to help me get better, you know, when I walk through the curtain for a match, or, you know, anything like that.
Right.
That's awesome. So speaking of your matches then, so we kind of mentioned Zero Cool coming up this Saturday. And I'm going to bring up the graphic right here for anyone who's watching. So you're in it's a 6-person scramble, it looks like?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of run down through the names, and maybe you can kind of give a brief overview for people who are first-time listeners. We get a lot of those here on the show. Maybe some people who know WWE but don't know kind of the independent product, or don't know AIW. So it's going to be you versus Ryder Reed versus Rex Brody versus Brian Carson versus Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham, who is the only person I've seen in action. I saw him at the last show. Love what he's doing. Kind of a motivational speaker character versus Garrison King. So can you kind of give an overview, maybe run through some of these guys and what you're thinking going into such a large match where there's so many variables on Saturday?
Oh, yeah. So, I'll just kind of go across the board there. Yeah. Ryder Reed pretty much, is pretty much think like your like modern day skater boy.
Okay.
Literally comes out like skateboard, everything. Just kind of like is there. Like he's going to like a Warped Tour concert. Like he's there having a good time.
I think
and
Zach
everything.
Thomas. I think Zach brought him up last week. He said check out his entrance because I saw him skating around the side ring with a skateboard. That was him one.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Doesn't he call himself like the kickflip kid or something?
Yeah. Then we have Rex Brody, who pretty much is like an Evel Knievel. It literally comes out looking like Evel Knievel, basically. That's every time I think of it, but no, he's awesome. So I'm really actually excited to go into the ring with him because this will be the first time, actually, against everyone except Ryder Reed. This is like my first time actually in a match against them. Or no, I had a match with the Doctor. Okay. Anyway, then we have Brian Carson, excellent personified, just pretty much. He's real fond of himself, but, I'm looking forward kind of showing him up in there. Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham, I always catch myself, because his theme is Man in the Mirror, and, just sitting there, I always get into it. Just kind of, humming along and, bobbing my head, and then I, realize, that it's his theme. I'm like, no, stop it.
Yeah, you can't do that in the ring this Saturday.
See, it's that mental game I was telling you about earlier. You play the music of your opponent, your favorite stuff, and you got him.
I mean, he's, a motivational speaker. He's getting me in that mindset, but that's why he's, a little bit of a trickster,
Right.
And then Garrison King, Gary the King Baller. He's someone I haven't had the chance to actually be in a ring with, but he's someone that I've seen through my times coming up through training, and that's another one I'm looking forward to. But overall, this is just going to be an all-out, everyone going for it, putting their best moves out there, and pretty much, just trying to make their names for themselves, making themselves known to the AIW crowd, to any crowd, because, a lot of our stuff is available on smartcornervideo.com. Little shout out there. But, yeah, this is definitely, it's going to be competitive. It's going to be action-packed, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, I'm going to be going out there swinging. Maybe some heads will roll, who knows.
You've got plenty of targets to swing at, too. So just the look of these guys in this graphic, all six of you, it looks like you guys could steal the show. I wish I was in Cleveland to go check that out.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely just those, the shows in general, just the atmosphere is something else. Honestly, it's something you kind of just get involved, you get sucked into,
right.
Because it's just high energy, great atmosphere to see. And yeah, it's the place to be when there's an AIW show going on.
Right. Cool.
It's definitely a party vibe for sure. You got a good mix of stars from the main product. You got a mix of students coming up, and what I've noticed is that a lot of the students coming out of AIW school are really good at finding their characters, really good at finding their voices in the ring, and really good at honing in their particular style. I mean, you kind of went through some. Are all these people in this matches a product of the school, or because I know you, Ryder, the Doctor,
everyone
right?
except Rex Brody.
Okay. So right there, that's 5 people, 5 very different styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it's just to kind of get a lot of times with schools, you kind of get with the same teacher teaching the same teacher teaching multiple people. They kind of get in a rhythm. So you get a lot of people who kind of pick up the same exact things and they use the same exact style once they get out of the school. So you don't get that with AIW, and that combined, like you said, with veterans who've been doing it for 20, 30 more years, and people who've been to quote unquote the big time, combined with a lot of big independent stars right now. I mean, guys like Matthew Justice, Ethan Page, Colt Cabana, Nick Gage, those kind of people being regulars. You have it's a true variety show from when I went.
For real.
That's a good way to kind of, that's how I would explain it to someone who gets into it. You're not going to see kind of the cookie cutter shows that you may see in other independents. You're going to see a true variety show. You're going to see more of the comedy matches, but then you're going to see a huge Haas battle at some point, and you're going to see these scrambles, and you're going to see tag team classics, and you're going to see maybe some hardcore stuff mixed in. So I'm excited. I hope to get up there to the show this Saturday. I'm excited to see it in a music venue. I mentioned at the top of the show, I think music halls are great venues for a wrestling show. And I will be sure to bring a clicker to count how many kicks you lay out in this match.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a go-to, so there's going to be a lot, probably.
Right.
So, kind of to wrap this up here, we do thank you for your time, TKD. Zach mentioned some people to look out for, and he actually mentioned your name. Who are some people that the fans of the show may not be familiar with that they should keep an eye for? And who are some people that you want to eventually get in the ring with?
Well, definitely, I did get a chance to listen to that, so definitely, pretty much the same dudes that he was mentioning, myself, obviously him, Ryder Reed, Wes Barkley. We all kind of came up around the same time, and it was definitely, because you definitely saw the competitiveness amongst one another, to pretty much, get out there, get their own thing to, really succeed. Kind of using the others as like motivation to keep up, I guess you could say.
Right. So you guys were kind of feeding off each other.
Yeah. It was like like those days of just like, oh, you can't, and then like you go in the ring, you see these other guys like performing, and you're like, okay, well,
right.
like I'm not going to be the slacker here.
Right.
Right. But yeah, some other guys definitely tag team coming up. Chase Oliver, Trey Lamar. Some people might know this other team, Philly Marino, the PME Experience.
Those guys, yeah. Big fans of those guys, kind of the 80s throwback or 70s throwback kind of persona, like party vibes. They're actually going to be in a title match on this Saturday, correct?
I don't believe they are. Wait, no. I'm sorry, wrong team. They are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Philly Marino are.
Yeah, those guys are super entertaining. I definitely agree with you there. Check them out. Anyone else or anyone that maybe you haven't been in the ring yet that you would like to eventually spar with, eventually wrestle with?
Oh yeah, two guys that are just kind of like similar. Like background-wise, actually I have like kind of a top three here through like AIW especially. Definitely Lewis Linden, very similar in style there. And then Tom Lawler, and I actually already had the chance to face him, but definitely wanted to come back to it. Dominic Guarini, just because I had a match with him not too long ago, but I was just starting out. Kinda, so I definitely want to have that, like, a little bit down the road, a little bit more time, a little bit more experience under my belt, and see how that goes the next time around.
Yeah, Zach Thomas is facing Dom this Saturday, and we kind of talked about how it must be dangerous because it must be cool to try to, beat your teacher, to kind of one up the guy who taught you what you know. But it must be extra difficult seeing as he literally is helping mold your style and sees you train and sees kind of all your secret weapons, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, I got some good shots in, but I mean, at the end of it, he pretty much was ready for what I had coming. But it was a hard-fought battle, pretty much. But unfortunately, it wasn't, like I said, in my favor. So that's something I definitely want to see down the road again, and hopefully have the chance to be standing across from him in the ring.
That's awesome. Well, I can tell you right now, you've already made one fan. Kevin Burning says, wow, going to be rooting for him. Love the martial arts background. So already made at least one confirmed fan here from this interview. So,
yes.
Again, Zero Chill this Saturday, right? What's the time? 7:30 bell time?
I believe so.
Okay, so if you haven't already, I don't know if tickets are sold out, TKD, I don't know if you know, but it is more limited tickets, right, because it's a smaller venue this time around.
Yeah, definitely. If it's not sold out, see if there's anything left, just in case. But yeah, it's definitely a smaller venue, so a little bit of a smaller crowd. Or tickets available, I guess I should say.
Yeah, well, definitely, just like I said, in a venue like that, they're going to be packed and they're going to be guaranteed to just high energy in that venue. So it's going to be a great show, I'm sure. And if they do end up missing out, they can check you out, Smart Mark Video, correct?
Yeah, smartmarkvideo.com, and then as well have some matches on YouTube that are in there. Tommy Howdean, TKD. I'm not really 100% sure the specific search, but
yeah,
it's somewhere on there.
Yeah, any matches that people should check out, or matches that you're particularly fond of?
Yeah, two of them, actually, there are two scrambles on there. Zach actually hyped them up, too. Our debut match, it was me, Zach Thomas, Ryder Reed, and Wes Barkley. You pretty much get to see kind of like the product of all the hard work, all the training, to all of us finally face off, really when it mattered. And then the other scramble is me, myself, Katie Arquette, Fudo, Eddie Only, and also featured Ryder Reed and Zach Thomas in there as well. And that one, a little bit different pace, just because we had two more people in there. So really pretty much changed the game, as well as some new different names overall. So pretty much, some unexpected turns and things like that through the match and whatnot.
That's awesome. And so, again, Zero Cool, AIW, everyone can see you in action, smartmark.com if they want to catch up, or YouTube.
In Lakewood, you Lakewood people, I know you'll be around. I got Lakewood friends that love wrestling, and they'll be huge fans of you, TKD.
Oh, I hope so.
So thank you again, once again, TKD. Man, this was a ton of fun. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Before you go, any last plugs? Where can people find you on social media, man?
Yeah, on Instagram, I am at Tommy_K_D, and on Twitter, I am at, it is at Tom Kwon Do _.
That's awesome.
Get the little pun there, right?
Yeah.
You've already got the names and the nicknames down, so you just keep plugging away, man. We're excited for you. Best of luck coming up, and big things coming your way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, like I said, hope to see you this weekend. If not, we'll catch up soon, man. Hope to have you on the show in the future here soon, and good luck in your match this weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, I would definitely love to come back anytime.
Absolutely, buddy.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
See ya.